So I want to talk about the two natures of racism. I think the second part is more less racism and more about just being collectivist. But the first part is actual racism though. Um, in terms of actually having some hatred for a certain race or thinking that a race is superior, that's racism in a sense. The actual racism. So basically, I think the golden rule of anti-racism is very good in terms of the thing that they developed in the 1960s. Don't discriminate people based upon their ethnic, religious, or sexual background. I think that's a pretty good rule, don't you think? So that's actual racism if you have a problem with someone's skin color and working with them or them being in the industry or whatever. I mean that's racism. That basic borderline racism. So yeah, that's the first point. That's more the legit racism. And then you have the second part, which is more in the Marxist culture of collectivist anti-racism. And this is a little bit different. In terms of a collectivist view, it's more about it isn't really about anti-racism in itself of human nature. It's more about just gathering in a group and just saying that how much you oppose racism without actually opposing it. It's sort of like you can say to a person on the stream randomly, I just call that person racist. If you don't support a totalitarian or authoritarian government like Marxist government, then you're a racist. That's collectivist anti-racism. That's not actual anti-racism. So you have to see the difference here. You have the Marxist view of anti-racism, and that is to give full control to an organization instead of actually being anti-racism in terms of actual actions that a company or a group does in terms of being discriminatory towards a certain race. So just so you get this kind of the image of what actual racism is and what is cartoon racism. But you also have the only argument that you could argue for collectivist anti-racism is in terms of trying to challenge the status quo, like ideas. For example, I don't, for example, think that just because you think a James Bond movie would be bad if they were to reboot it with another race of character. I would not say that that's a racist position. That's more like I'm just simply using an example now in terms of pop culture of what people would see as racism. For example, I could, give an argument to it would be better if they just had a funeral for James Bond and then just have a new character, whoever they design a new character to be the new 007, and then that would make the series stronger rather than just rebooting James Bond with a guy who doesn't really look like a Caucasian British man. Because you would design a new character and that will make the series stronger. And to prove that, if you look at the different reboots of Wizard of Oz movies, and as much as I loved the Muppets version of it, I mean I thought that was pretty fun when I grew up. I watched it on Disney Channel or something. But you still look in retrospect that the 1931 version is obviously the best one. So it's not like I'm saying that it would destroy it, but it would. I do think that it would make it a little bit weaker in duration. But either way, I do think there's some valid argument to the collectivism on that part, at least in terms of challenging the perception of people's shock value, I guess, or shock effect. But my point is, there is some difference because there are some people who are a believer in trying to have new ideas or being faithful to certain ideas. So the point is, there's some difference between actual racism and then there is a collectivist anti-racism. Because you don't hate it because of a certain race. You hate them because you're worried about how it's gonna go and if the series is gonna fall or something. But yeah, that's a thing here. And there's also, I guess, the sort of bait thing, which people are getting full into. But yeah. So the point is, you have sort of like the two natures of humans. It's really the people who are legit scumbags and just don't like a certain race, and then there's just the collectivist part of humans where they just gather in a group and just. I mean, the thing is, I can definitely give an example there. Let's say you make a movie, right, or a TV series, and all you're known for is you're just inclusive, and that's all. You don't care about good writing or good storytelling or anything like that. Uh, and you know those series or movies hurt much because of this, because um, you're not interested in creating some interesting story or character. You're just interested in making a show or a movie that's just about being very inclusive instead of actually this is not to say that you can't have inclusive shows that are good written, but the problem is when that's all you have and you don't care about the other aspects that is important for a good show or movie. So by the logic of collectivism here, isn't it more racist to not give a crap, you know? So that's sort of the dilemma here. But yeah, that's my that's the thing here. There's some legit racism of just hating a certain race, which is bad, and then there is just a collectivism, which is not really racism, but it's like perceived that if you don't think like a collectivist group of authoritarian belief system of Marxist viewpoints of not having them in government or whatnot, then to them you're a racist because you don't follow them in line in a sense. I mean, I do think even Malcolm X had some good idea of the liberals who would exploit. But I mean, maybe I shouldn't quote him here because I do think he had more a different idea on that. But he was more like worried about liberals, at least, trying to exploit the black population of USA to kind of make them bidding to seem like the good guys, but not really helping them out in a sense. But that's a different issue. That's more a civil rights issue. But my point is, the whole racism has two natures of it. I do think collectivism I think they do have an interest. I wouldn't say they're interesting because I do think they are abusive, but I also do think that they sort of represent the society of trying to see the human nature of people, on how they will react. It's kind of like a shockwave effect of trying to bait you into being something that you're not. It's kind of I think it's evil, but yeah, it's kind of meant to kind of just to challenge certain ideas. I guess it's part of the ideology, and that's kind of why they exist. But in terms of at least the movie industry and such, um, trying to be worried about how the creation is going forward and how the story is going forward. That's basically why people object usually. Not because oh no, I don't want this guy. He looks different. It's not that. So that's really it. But I do think they serve a purpose. I do agree on that. But even if they are insanely annoying. But yeah, I'm definitely not a collectivist in terms of because I do think they are hurting more than helping. If you really look at their results, really, because a good movie or a good story in general is gonna focus on actually trying to write a good story. And this is not to say that if conservatives took over the movie industry that it would be better. No, it would totally suck. I mean, it would just be boring. But so I'm not saying that being a liberal means that you're a terrible storyteller. It just means that the most important thing is writing a good story. That's all. It can be about whatever, and that's it. So yeah, that's really it. I just want to point out the duality of racism. There's actual racism, which is bad, and which you should support whatever group is anti-racism, just as a good human would do. And then there is the collectivist part, which is not really about anti-racism, but it's about kind of making people kind of just seem like if you don't are this, then you are racist. It's kind of like a buzzword, really. It's more like a slur, basically. And that's the collectivist part. That's the anti-racist part of collectivism. So that's the two definitions of racism, really. It's really that. But yeah, basically the first part is important to be for, against racism, just in terms of it's not cool. And then there's the second part, which is more the collectivist part, which is I would say mostly it's anti-productive because I do think it kills a lot of creativity. I think it's better to not give a shit, really, and just overall just like a movie and try to come up with ideas, and just not care so much about collectivist culture, really. because I do think it mostly hurt people in terms of creativity and such. But yeah, I just want to say that. I just want to mention the duality of it, and that's why I'm mainly an anti-collectivist, but I am supportive of free speech and all. So yeah, thank you for watching this video, and bye.